It's the Canadian Berserker versus the Green Goliath. Here's your look at the Marvel Legends 80 Years Wolverine versus the Hulk. Wolverine is a superpowered agent of the Canadian government. The Wolverine is a skilled fighter with razor-sharp claws and a fierce temper. Meanwhile, the Hulk is powered by gamma radiation. The incredible rage-fueled Hulk smashes his way through any challenge and clobbers any enemy. First thing we're going to do to get this review underway is figuring out how tall the figures stand. Obviously, unless you have your eyes closed, you probably notice that Wolverine is considerably smaller than Hulk. He's about half the height. Translating that to what we're actually looking at on the view screen here of my trusty tape measure, Wolverine stands at a very small 5.7 inches in height. And that, in centimeters, works out to be 14.5 centimeters tall. Let's switch that back, get that back to the past. And we'll put it right to the very top of Hulk's head. Yes, Hulk is quite the big boy. How big is he? Stopping the tape measure right to the very top there. We're looking at the screen telling us that the Hulk stands a towering 8.5 inches. That's not bad. In centimeters, let's do that one more time. 21.7, a little over 21.5 centimeters tall. Despite for celebrating 80 years of Marvel, this set doesn't come with a whole heck of a lot. Let's have a look at the accessories right now. Wolverine comes with a pair of closed fists. That's all he comes included with. The downside, unfortunately, if you do opt to swap these fists out, he doesn't come with the adamantium. The adamantium claws are part of those fists. But I guess if you do decide you want to have, for some reason, Wolverine without the adamantium claws, by all means, take the fists off. By all means, swap the hands out, and by all means, leave him with no weapons whatsoever. Again, you can go this route. I'm leaning more, obviously, to the fact of displaying the figure with the adamantium claws myself, but at least this is the route they've decided to go with, instead of having removable claws. I wasn't really a big fan of those because they were very prone to falling out. These ones don't seem like they fall out. They're obviously intended to be in there, and that's the reasoning why they give you the closed fist. Just so you guys can see the difference between the two. Let's stop these shenanigans. Let's pop this out, put it back the way it should be. I, again, personally prefer the claws out on my Wolverine. As for the figure itself, like I said, Wolverine is really quite small. Don't worry, we're going to look at the accessories for Hulk in a second. He's a rather small chap, though, Wolverine is. An accurate proportion to the way the Hulk is based on the comics, and Wolverine does look really quite good. He has the more simplified design for his costume as depicted in the early appearances, including Incredible Hulk number 181. So with that also includes these smaller fins on the sides of his mask instead of the very exaggerated ones he would get later on. I like the design of this particular face. Specifically, I like the fact that they've given him a grimaced set of teeth. The teeth are actually quite well sculpted, right down to the fact that you can make out the gums. I really do like that. He does have pupils, which might be one thing I would consider changing to this particular figure. Sure, the pupils look good and all, but when I often think early appearance and first appearance of Wolverine, I usually tend to think of Wolverine just kind of some of those early images with Wolverine having white eyes, and I might be inclined to go that route. Other than that, paint is really quite clean on this. You got the panel lining running on either sides of his face. Kind of looks like whiskers. I always thought they looked like whiskers. Paint is really quite clean and polished on this particular piece. It's almost like they pulled out all the stops when it came to these 80-year Marvel Legend releases. Paint, like I said, on Wolverine is quite clean. And really, a lot of that could be chalked up to the fact that most likely they just used yellow plastic instead of treading down the very dangerous traveled roads of painting yellow over top of plastic, and that never seems to work. But using plastic as your base certainly gives you a very clean and polished look, with really only the striping here located on the sides, and of course the striping located on the top. The rest of it is just kept to the coloring of the plastic. And again, I think that's why you end up getting a Wolverine that's really quite clean looking. Of course, he's got his red strongman belt. It always kind of reminds me of old Hulkamania belt. Remember when he used to have the weightlifting belt? Of course, it would have been on the, I believe, the other side as well. But this is buckled in a glorious gold color. I like that quite a bit. And then you've got the alternating colors of the blue in the trunks with the blue gloves and these blue little tiny strips on his shoulders. The rest of the figure is yellow until you get down to his feet. And of course, you've got the trademark similar mask shape there done on Wolverine's boots. Again, because all the plastic is being kept to the same coloring as the costume itself, it's really only the black that has to be painted. And short of, unfortunately, one little hiccup, somebody must have sneezed while they were painting the stripes and missed the mark completely. Nobody's going to see it. It's the back of the figure after all. We're just going to package it as is. Wolverine, to note as well, has treaded feet on the undersides of his feet, and he does have peg holes on the undersides of his feet as well. So certainly if you want to make use of a display stand, most definitely go that route. Nice little, overall nice sculpting on the figure. I did notice though that he's got textured hairs on the plastic of his arms. Favoring instead not to paint those in, they simply have just left them as textured grooves. It kind of looks like they're more veins than anything else because they're simply not painted in with the striping of the black. Other than that though, I'm really happy with the paint. It's very polished, it's very clean, and it's certainly not messy. Having a look at the figure, the head rotates all the way around. He does also have the benefit of having a pin and, not a pin and socket, but a hinge and ball joint, allowing the head to hinge quite a bit up actually, and most definitely quite a bit down if Wolverine wants to sulk. The arms rotate all the way around. He does also have a shoulder forward crunch that is a little tight on this particular figure, but I would much prefer a tight shoulder hinge than a really loose shoulder hinge. Swivel at the bicep. Sorry. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Swivel at the bicep. He has a double hinge on the elbow. Although his bicep is really so big, it's hard to pull off that double hinge happening in the elbow. The hands rotate all the way around, and they also hinge back and forth. He has an upper torso crunch, giving you that much of a range back and that much of a range forward. Kind of like that. Swivel at the waist, like I said, the legs split out. This is using the newer ball-jointed systems. Gone are the days, or the Toy Biz, where they had the swivel hinge. You had to rotate it and then hinge whatever direction you wanted to go with. Ball joints definitely are the better route to go. A top swivel cut on the thigh. I do notice like the plastic here seems a different color. You notice here in the sections of the thighs, past the cut swivel, seems to be a different yellow than the top section right there. They're not painted, so I'm not really sure why specifically they used a different color. From a distance, you don't notice it as much. Again, I would rather this than had they just painted the surface of the plastic in yellow, because you know that never ever works. Double hinge on the knee, swivel at the boot, and hinge up and down with quite a bit of an ankle rocker. And there is the Wolverine. Like this figure quite a bit. You'll excuse me for a second if I introduce other mediums here. I'm bringing in a display stand from the folks over at NECA Toys. This isn't obviously something that comes included with the figure, but it's just to guarantee that Wolverine isn't going to topple over. That would be embarrassing while we're having a look at the green behemoth. I certainly don't want Wolverine starting to fall over. It would just be a distraction. Everybody's attention would be focused over there, and the attention really should be attentioned and focused to the Hulk. I'm making some sound effects in the background. We are moving the Wolverine just out of the way for the time being. Obviously, one comparison that I'm sure you guys want to see based on a review that I just recently did is the comparison between the Toy Biz version of the Hulk. This would happen to have been packaged. The 2-pack featuring Leader, and even though I did sell the Leader, the Hulk is actually still one of my all-time favorite figures, and definitely didn't pass the chance to keep that in my collection and not sell it to only regret it later. You can see quite the difference between the two Hulks. Paint, I will give to the credit of the Marvel Legends, could be a little bit cleaner and a little bit brighter, but I think I might still like the sculpt for the Toy Biz Hulk, in all honesty. It definitely feels more like not more like a toy as much as it feels like a figure. Well, the Hulk here feels a little bit more like a toy, even though the sculpting on him is really quite good. We're going to do some comparisons of those in a second. Sorry, Wolverine, we're just going to move you over just a little bit more. The accessories that come included with this Hulk, you have alternating hands. I say alternating because currently out of the packaging he comes with a grabbing Wolverine hand, or really just maiming hand, and he also has a fist hand. You'll see as the alternate options to that, they give you the alternate hands, where you can have the other fist on this side, and you can have the other, I'm going to make myself some hamburgers, and I need a lot of ground beef hands. That's the hands that we're going to go with. You can have those on either side. So if you want to have a fully pounding Hulk, by all means switch them to fists. If you want to be kneading the hamburger meat, by all means swap it to these hands instead. Nice job really overall on the hands themselves. They've wrinkled the knuckles in the corresponding places that wrinkled knuckles should be, and you've also got a couple of veins and stuff running through it. So very, very nice job on the hands. The other thing that comes included with the Hulk, which I didn't actually start this review with, we'll just bring him into the foreground here for the second. He does also come with his ripped shirt. A nice little extra bonus. The ripped shirt, as you could probably guess it, based on the way it's designed and the fact that the collar is on the top, you can kind of guess that it just sort of sits on his shoulders like that. This is sort of in mid-transformation. It does definitely beg the question, and far be it for me to question how fabric really works, but based on how big that shirt is, Bruce Banner must have been living in these clothes, literally like camping in these clothes before he transformed into the Hulk. Like, the clothes are always quite big, and I do have to question that. I mean, I don't know how much nylon is in the material of whatever he's wearing, but there's got to be some considerable stretch happening, especially to that shirt. That shirt is way too big. Personally speaking, I prefer to leave the shirt off altogether. As nice as it may seem, I'm just not fancying it all that much, and just going to leave it off to display Hulk in the way he should be. Bare-chested, purple pants, looking cool. Let's compare the two figures side by side, because I know this is certainly one thing that you guys would want to see a comparison side to side too. Yeah, I don't know. The detail, from my personal opinion at least, not that my personal opinion does matter, I hope it does for the fact that you guys are watching these videos, but I do feel like there's a little bit more maturity in the sculpting of the Toy Biz version versus what we got here with the new Marvel Legends from the folks over at Hasbro. Don't get me wrong, the paint is really quite good on the Hulk, and I get the fact that right now I've kind of got him in the most boring of poses possible, but I do feel like my award, if I could craft an award in my small garage and give it to one of the figures, I would probably likely still give it to this Hulk here. Even though, to be fair, I like the coloring on the green on this particular Hulk here. Not to steal his spotlight, so I'm just going to move this Hulk out of the way. I've just recently had quite a rather extensive re-review of that guy, if you certainly would like to check it out. But as for the face sculpt on this particular Hulk, it definitely is very reminiscent of the old classic Savage Hulk. One thing, unfortunately, out of the packaging, I did notice he's got a little bit of schmutz. I didn't know what specifically that was. Packing material, perhaps, a little bit of fragmented paint. I tried scraping it off, and to no avail. It's still there. So I don't know if I can maybe take, I don't know what I would take, maybe a toothpick or something and see if I can flake that off. I don't know if it's actually going to cause damage to the plastic itself underneath that, but it definitely looks like he was brushing his teeth, and it just, I mean, those are very large teeth to start off with. The Hulk face portrait is actually quite good. He's got caterpillars running across the forehead here on either side, big grimaced teeth. I like the actual additional coloring of green that they've also added to his hair. You'll see it kind of running its way across this bush top of dew that he's got going on here. He's a large-chested fellow, which only adds to the fact of making him look muscular by adding all this additional airbrushing of dark green that they've managed to incorporate into his body. To the positive pluses of this particular figure, he does have cleaner paints than maybe the Toy Biz Hulk that just randomly had splatters of darker color. Didn't make any sense whatsoever. At least there is rhyme and reason for the way that they've painted this particular Hulk, and I definitely think that the paint is really quite clean. It's vibrant. He does have a little bit of chipping or something happening on the back of him, and you can probably hear he's a bit on the hollow side. It still translates, though, to a really nice-looking Hulk. Traditional purple pant-wearing Hulk with some rips in his knees, rips in his thighs, and rips down below. Kind of looks like a devil face. But these are the teeth and eyes and the horns. That's going to be the only thing that you're looking at now. You're welcome. He does have the rather large Hulk feet. I used to know a guy that had feet like this. I never called him Hulk to his face, but he certainly had Hulk-sized feet and very tiny peg holes on the undersides of said feet that you can, of course, attach to a display stand if you so wish. The articulation on Hulk is the following. His head rotates all the way around, hinges also up and down, and it also rocks back and forth. Not bad at all. I'm guessing there is actually a dumbbell ball joint in there, basically meaning that there's a stem and there's a ball joint on either side. One ball joint is going into the base, the socket, the recessed area there of the head, and then the other one is at the base of the neck. That is giving you as much allowance as you're currently seeing. His head moves actually quite a bit around. The upper torso is on a ball joint. I mean, quite a bit of generous movement you can get going on there as well. And unfortunately, he's only relegated to a straight-out swivel, which awkwardly, as you turn it too much, you can kind of see he's sectional, like a magician is in mid magic trick as he's trying to cut the green Goliath in half. It kind of looks a little on the awkward side. The arms also hinge up and down. If you look on the back, he also does have the shoulder crunch, basically where you can move those arms back, almost as if Hulk is ready to charge the Wolverine. Just FYI, Wolverine, I would probably move out of the way quickly, as fast as you possibly can. Arms hinge outward. You can rotate those all the way around. He has a swivel at the bicep, a single hinge, not allowed the same double hinge that Wolverine had, and his hands rotate all the way around, hinging back and forth. As for the legs go on a simple ball joint. Couldn't be any bit smoother, like a jar of smooth peanut butter. Just spreads out real nice. Never favoring chunky peanut butter myself. The legs move forward, the legs move back. He has a swivel on the mid-cut of the thigh. He has a double hinge on the knee. And he also has articulation in the feet with also, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He does also have an ankle pivot. I'm really liking this Hulk. I would not necessarily say right out the gate that I would be putting him in my will, inheriting this vast wealth of mine. I would still likely go with the Hulk from the Toy Biz line. I just really like this Hulk. If only I could almost even pull out somehow with dark magic the coloring and vibrancy that's on this particular Hulk and splash it on this particular Hulk. I would think I would almost have like a perfect Hulk. If you didn't manage to get, however, this one right here, I honestly feel like this could be one of the better Hulks that Marvel Legends have produced. He definitely has all the check boxes checked off. Really large size? Check. Savage old school Hulk face? Check. Messy bush top hairstyle? Check. Purple pants? Check. He really is all the things I would possibly want in a Hulk, and yet my heart and my soul is still kind of left to the Toy Biz Hulk as the one that I'm going to give my life to, give my heart, my soul to. I still really like that Hulk quite a bit, but as a runner-up, the one that gets the silver medal, not necessarily the gold, I would still award it here to the 80s, the Marvel 80 years 2-pack Hulk that came included with the Wolverine. Yes, we spent a lot of time talking about the Hulk and not nearly enough time talking about you, Wolverine. I'm so sorry for that. Overall, I just really like this set. Took me a bit longer to unfortunately get around to getting it done because I had to wait for my local comic book store to finally stock it. Seems the story of my life. And yet, nonetheless, long time waiting. I'm sure the wait was hopefully worth it. It certainly was worth it for me because now I've got two cool looking figures. I don't review a lot of Marvel Legends, and when I do, there's obviously a reasoning for it. It's because I really wanted to get both of these figures. A classic original first appearance of Wolverine, and of course the Savage Hulk, and looking as good as he does. It definitely was a 2-pack I couldn't pass on. One thing I forgot to mention, or probably glazed over rather quickly in this review, and I can mention here in final looks, those giant meat tenderizing hands of the Hulk are of a perfect size to fit around Wolverine's thighs. So, in other words, ergo, as you can probably see here in final looks, you can have Wolverine kind of quasi leaping up in the air, about to lay his claws down on the green behemoth. That's probably going to be the look I'm going to have these two figures displayed on my shelf. A long overdue review, and I apologize for that. I don't honestly, truthfully, do a whole lot of Marvel Legends reviews, and the whole honest truth is about all of that is that after a while, all the Marvel Legends do feel like they're all the same. They go through and recycle about 6 or 7 body molds, and ultimately you pretty much feel like you're getting the same figure over and over again. The one thing about the 80 Years 2-packs, specifically the one with Wolverine and Hulk, is that I felt like we were getting some really interesting characters based on their really early appearances and their interactions with one another. I've always been a big fan of Wolverine, especially his early roots of being the Canadian Berserker, and I've always been a big fan of Savage Hulk. As you probably can guess it by the fact that one of my all-time favorite figures still remains to be the Toy Biz Face-Off Hulk that came included with the leader, which of course can be a talking point. We did mention that and do a comparison of that in the video. Yeah, I'm still loving that other Hulk. As much as this one does have a lot going for it, it's kind of like when you're dating somebody new and you're hardened, you sort of every once in a while still thinking about that old flame. The Face-Off Hulk still happened to be a flame that still lives with me. That's somewhat awkward. So we're going to just try to make things work between having the new Hulk in the house and the old Hulk. Hopefully they can get along with one another when it comes to dinner. Either way, though, if you guys manage to pick up this one for yourself, let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of this 2-pack. All around, I'm really happy with how Wolverine turned out. He's very clean. I like the sculpting of his head, and I like proportionally that he is a lot smaller than Hulk. Hulk is a really great looking figure. Not as good necessarily as the Face-Off Hulk. I'm beating a dead horse by continuing to say that, but gosh darn it, he does certainly come up with the silver. He's going to get the silver medal. Good job. If only, again, I could take those colors and put it on the Face-Off Hulk, that would be magic. I unfortunately don't have the means of magic. My ability with dark magic exhausted years ago, so unfortunately I can't pull that off. Either way, let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of this 2-pack. If you are new to this channel or a long-time viewer, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and stay tuned, because there's going to be a whole lot of videos coming your way. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.